items worse and less succinctly than he did. I posted a link to a YouTube video. It's just a sequence of tutorials, about 5 to 10 minutes or so a piece, and they are progressively deeper into business objects and particularly web intelligence. And they will show you a lot of tips and tricks and a lot of wrapping your mind around how web intelligence works. If you have any SQL questions, ask her. Business objects is, of course, again, just an SQL front end. When you were looking at the reports, did you know that you were looking at an SQL statement? The SQL statement, you can actually view exactly what query is returned. When you go up to edit query, it will be able to tell you the SQL statements. If you are having problems with your programming logic, research the SQL. It's all direct programming. Select from where, group by. Okay. So that's how you can see the SQL. You can use custom SQL, though Eileen and I were just trying to do it a moment ago, and we weren't able to use custom SQL. So whatever the customizability is, it didn't like our customizability. So take that.
Change it in there. You can start typing in there.
You can start typing in there. It is a graphical interface for SQL, whereas SQL is normally a fully text-based programming language. Business Objects isn't a standalone suite. Business Object is a tool to more effectively use SQL, either more effective and quicker programming, or to allow less technical users to still perform SQL functions.
It's kind of like making a program, like getting a command and running the program.
Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like the Visual Basic form of making programs. You can drag and drop buttons, and then you can double click on them and type what the button does. Yeah. You don't have to start from the Java level.
So pretty much this is just like the IT version of Designer that we're using.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, because the screen that you were showing right now, the other one,
this
where it had the SQL, that's pretty much the IT type.
That is, well, it's the, when you are using business objects, you are kind of IT. Now, even if you're not formally trained or very experienced as IT, you are effectively implementing the IT. So this would be what a very experienced, very educated user might program by hand. And you're coming up with the same output.
Is this going back to Designer, or is this opening a window and WebI and then letting you edit it in there?
Designer is a way to organize your data and create data objects. Web Intelligence is a query reporting tool. A query is actually just a limit of the information you're going to pull. Your database connection is connected to the entire database with all of the connections inherent, or rather all the connections that you give it in Universe Designer. This, as Web Intelligence, as a reporting tool, will query it. And what it does is it looks at the database in its entirety, and it picks and chooses and brings you back this little amount. And you have to use that little amount for your entire report. So this limits the entire database. In Crystal Reports, when you guys did Crystal Reports, you're able to use the entire database every time. You didn't limit the information. You viewed it as a whole. It took a while, it was messy. It's not something you would want to do as united on a flight database. This will query it, will decide and pick and choose which terms it will actually act on and condense. Okay, so that's a bit about what you are doing. Now, first thing we will ever do when we ever install this again, we are going to make we're going to manage our users. Central Management Console. Central Management Console is actually a part of the Business Objects suite that you install. Central Management Console will let you, it's very powerful. There's a lot more, and not only that, it's hard to say what the hierarchy is for business objects. Universe is up at the top, WebI is down at the end, and everything else is interchangeable. As you go around in the Universe Designer, you can get to Desktop Intelligence. Desktop Intelligence is another version almost of Web Intelligence. Web Intelligence connects to a server. Desktop intelligence does the same thing, but only on your own desktop. If you don't have to worry about exporting it online, exporting it to a web file, viewing it online, viewing it remotely, you can just do a desktop intelligence tab. For some reason it doesn't work for me. I have no idea why. Every time I try running the queries, I get garbage data, and I'm really not that happy with it. But it should be interchangeable. There apparently is something I don't understand about that. So, we're going to try logging on. I'm still waiting for me. Once we get onto the central database manager, central management console, try info v1. They might not work because I think I went offline because I'm not connected to an internet, and that always gets funny. So we will go back to this is desktop intelligence. I hate that. So we'll go back to Universe Designer. Now, as we did, the only things that we actually created, the only objects that we created were dimensions and measures. Does everybody remember what the difference between a dimension and a measure is? What is a measure?
Numbers.
Perfect. It is a number. It is a mathematically operatable number. Dimension is anything else. Dimension can describe anything. A dimension can be a date, a dimension can be a color, a dimension can be a letter, a dimension can be an employee name. When we have, now there are also such things as the different data types that we have numbers, we have characters, we have long text, we have date. I believe that's everything. Most of those fairly inherited from visual basis access. One of the small differences, character is a smaller data type than long text is. You'll usually need to know when you're declaring the objects. Apparently you can actually just drag and drop out entire tables, and it will automatically make assumptions about what those objects are. But that's not going to, I didn't, and I'm so mad I didn't. But now we're going to have a problem. This price is a dimension. Dimensions cannot be charted. Dimensions are not treated like they're numbers. If you wanted to create a graph of the prices, it wouldn't let you do it if it's a dimension. You need to change that into a measure. Otherwise, a measure signifies to the universe and to WebEye that it is able to be operated on. This thing here, function when aggregated, don't worry about that. It's important, and will, as long as you keep it to none, then if you make a logic error in your programming, then it'll just give you garbage data. Otherwise, you'll think that you're right and you're wrong. One of the things that we do have, we have product ID, name, color, size. Those aren't separate dimensions. If we use them as separate dimensions, we will get garbage data. When SQL queries a database, it has product information, and it is going to relate that to inventory stock. Now, when you generate your report, you're going to want the number in inventory, and the easiest way is going to be doing it by product ID. That being the primary key. So if you do it by product ID, which I'll show you, it kind of looks like crap. You don't really want to do a report where all you've got is a series of numbers. That's not very meaningful to most people. Okay, so I'm going to do product. So I'll do product ID, and I will do quantity in stock. At a glance, if you saw this report, would you know exactly how much of each thing that you had? No, because you use names. Everybody does. But name isn't a primary ID. Name, size, and color are all different ways. Now, if we do this, and if we add name, size, and color, we will get terrible bad results. Because name, size, and color should not be should not be dimensions. They should be a different data type. Does anybody know why the report didn't change? Do you want me to? I can show you hitting update. 1 second. Purge data. Purge data. So we'll purge it, right? Purge is complete. Now we'll refresh data. Still no change in the report. We changed our query. Why is there no difference? A query and a report are two separate things. A query is the data set that you are taking out of the database. The report is the physical representation of that data. When you start, it generates an automatic table for your data set. When you continue to edit your query and to refine the data that you're pulling out of the database, it's not going to go back and hold your hand and say, oh, I think you want it to look like this. No, it's going to say, you know what you're doing. You wanted it to look like that. I'm not going to change a single thing. So, in order to, let me get back to, where is, no, I want to be at view, a different view, the design view rather than the preview view.
No, edit query, right?
No, it's still not it. Either way, I can do it from here, but I prefer it a different way. So, now that we've got, on the left, the data, this is all the data in our query. Those are all the objects that we put into the query. It has none of the other objects from the universe. When we do a report, it is limited by our query. Now we're going to drag and drop them in. We're going to put product name. We're going to put size.
Did you want to go to a template? Is that what you were trying to do?
No, it's everything got shrunk because of the resolution of the monitor, so I can't find the design view versus preview. If you see it on the screen, shout it out. Anyway, so this is product ID. It's got product name. It's got size. It's not quite view on that. So this is each individual one. But I don't really want it to be done like that. I want a summary of each product name. So I'm going to remove product ID. I always click remove row instead of remove column. One of these days I'm going to find out what the difference is. Remove column. Okay. So product ID is gone. Now, in order to group them, now this is something we did in Christopher Forster's group by. We're going to insert a break. This will have each name of product have a break between it. Now, I am going to try, where did the color go?
You can drag it.
Thank you. So, now this will put, and now that we've got them broken, this is actually a group by. The way that we can tell this is we can pop back into our edit query, look at our SQL, and, no, never mind, it's not grouped by yet. We'll be short. So now we have each of these grouped together. There's a break between it. It goes by, it says each data cell, and then it also still summarizes it. And in the summary field, we can insert a summary. Let's say we want to add up all of the quantities. It will do a sum of the amount that we have in stock. Now, because we have it broken the way that we do, we can do something called folding. What folding can let you do is limit the amount of information that you're going to display. I don't really want everybody to know about large, medium, small. They don't care. Or colors. There's not even colors for any of the gloves. They're just in sizes. So when we go up to the fold menu, show, hide, fold on fold bar, we can go down to fold by block 1, break on product name. That will condense it down to a list of the description of the group and a summary. Still not happy with the format because I hate this blank line. It's just annoying me. It's taking up space for no good reason, so I'll remove it. So now we have a summary, the basic crystal reports data that we would have used by group by and hiding details. Once again, this is annoying me too because it's not necessary. So great. What if we wanted to associate with this with something else? Let's say we want to find out our, I don't know, order amounts. So we're going to sum the order amounts by product name, right? So all we'd have to do is add it to the query and then drag and drop it. So we'll do sales, quantity sold. That totally should be a measure. I don't know why I didn't make that measure.
You
so
already
we'll do-
got quantity sold as a measure.
I've got quantity in stock.
Oh wait, you're right. Sorry.
It's okay. All units sold. Now, once we drop it in, it will not mess up. It's actually working for once. Usually I'm able to screw it up. Eileen, how did we mess it up? Remember when I tried to let you use product name and size as dimensions instead of details, and it screwed the whole thing up? Oh, by order date. We'll do it by order date too. We want to do find out the month of order date, or quarter of order date. Oh no, I'm looking up there, not on my computer. Sales date, because sales date is a date data object, it can automatically generate month of and year of sales date. So now we do month of and year of. And the multi-value. The multi-value means that I tried to have it I tried to have it display all of the entries in that. Because each product name has a single quantity and inventory. It has a single, each product name can have multiple size and colors, but we're just aggregating the quantity in stock anyway, so it'll sum them all up, it'll add them up. But when it tries to tell us the month of order date, it can't tell us, oh, well, you sold one in the first, you sold one in the second month, you sold one in the third month. That's not formatted that way. When it says multi-value, that means that it's been trying to return the wrong type of objects. It's just looking at us like we're stupid because we asked it to return it in this format. And it knows that those two, the format and the value it has, do not match up. But what I wanted to prove the error of, and I haven't been able to, is actually in Universe Designer, product name, color, and size should be subservient. They should actually be details. And what a detail will do is a detail will have an associated dimension of product ID. That means that you'll be able to run the report according to product ID, but it has certain details. And these details can be like, especially product name. So, you know, this might be my SQL error. I might have been doing it wrong.
So you're saying it is identified by product ID. All those are children of product ID. So it's...
Yeah, but I think that's where I've got it wrong. I think product ID would be a child of product name. Is that true?
Product ID is
be a
the
detail?
key field. And the name would be the first name, the last name. Wait, this is product. It would be
I think that's where my mathematical error was. I think I should have done if I'm doing a one-to-many, then the many has to be a, is the many a detail, or
the
is the
many
many
is the detail, and then the dimension would be the one. So one to many, it would be product
So
has many.
if the many is the detail, you're sure? So then
Here
if the
it's-
many is the detail, then it would be the opposite way. It would be product name as the dimension, and product ID would be the associated detail. Because that would let us group by product's name as opposed to product ID.
Is it product with many products?
It's a product ID has many product,
Has many products?
product name has many product IDs.
Has many product ID?
Sorry. Yeah.
Which one is the key field?
Product ID.
Product ID has many.
Product name. Product name has many product IDs.
Because there's an ID for each color and size, but it's still a 4 drawers. Or whatever.
Exactly. I think I just
So,
figured out my
product
logic.
ID and product name is not one-to-one?
No.
Other things.
And I'll show you. You saw it in the report.
Product ID. Other like hierarchy. Hierarchy details comes under that.
These, okay, I'll expand this. Each of these are separate product IDs. The name of the glove is the same for all of these, but the size, the color, the number in stock. See, this is where I'm surprised it actually works correctly. There's a separate product ID for each color and size combination, even though they all have the same product name. It's like George Foreman's kids. They're all named George Foreman. Alerters. The way that I was able to format the text, it is known as conditional formatting. In here it is alerters. And that's where we go to reporting alerters. We can do a new alerter. Last time we did it, this one will be products not worth carrying. And we will do this for anything that earns us less than $10,000. And then we would get to check the format. For this, we will have its size be 19 font. We could even do an image from URL or an image to file. I'm not going to do any of that. So now we've created an alerter. Now we haven't applied it to anything.
Do you want the operator to be
Very right.
equal to?
Thank you. Because equal to, that's like a shot in the dark. Less than. Okay. Alerter name, anything you want. You can call it Mark. Description, always fill in your description fields. That's good programming etiquette. You can use either cell contents or you can describe other things. Alerters can be made for a multitude of different objects in this. Object is specific in this. It can be made for anything on the screen. Operator, any comparison, and operands, what it's comparing to. The format, you can in fact do a brown face for everybody whose sales are below 100,000, so that way people know who's getting fired. Happy face for the guy who's got the best. Okay. Now I'm going to apply an alerter, and that's going to be under properties. And now that I've created an alerter, I have a new field, available alerters. And I will be able to click on product not worth selling. So every single one of these that's below 10,000 is highlighted and expanded. I think that's about it. Did I miss anything? No. I still can't get InfoView or CMC to run. I think it's because it decided.
Are you on the internet? Because I think you need to be on the internet.
I'm not, and you don't have to be, but you do have to want to connect to the internet because it's
InfoView too.
InfoView you do. CMC
Well, I have
should,
one.
CMC is on internet.
but it's
Central Management Console.
but it's connecting to my own computer.
Yeah, but you still have to connect to the net.
I think it might just be with Firefox. I think I might be in offline mode, which I don't know how to. Your computer's connected to the internet? Sure.
I'm not in the internet, but I got access to InfoView and
It's because I tried to connect to the internet and I
should
failed.
be able to get
and I
into
gave up.
yeah.
But we'll switch computers.
I don't know
We'll be
how
right back.
it.
You'll have to stay up here to type in your password.
It's,
You're it?
yeah.
Wonderful. Both InfoView and
Yeah.
CMC? Yeah, Firefox isn't even willing to look for it because Firefox is in offline mode. My computer, even though it's my own computer, it's its own web server, so if Firefox is in offline, it says screw it. I'm not even going to bother checking for it. I bet it's not there. So, this is InfoView. One of the ways that you can use InfoView is you can actually open up Web Intelligence here. You can open up Web Intelligence reports and use them. But the interesting part of it is that look up at the top. It's Internet Explorer based. It's a web page in Internet Explorer. InfoView is actually a connection to the rest of the Business Objects software suite. So this is, as long as, right now we've only got our computer set to serve to themselves. If we hooked one of these up to the outside world, left no router, and knew the IP address, we could connect to it anywhere in the world through InfoView, and we could run web intelligence reports on a server. So that's InfoView's wonderful, wonderful things. Next we will do Central Management Console. Central Management Console is, I'll need you to log on
It's
to
open.
it. I lost it. I think I've just got, oh, okay, well it lets me in, so I'm happy. This is where we're going to manage users. Now it has all sorts of stuff. You can organize everything. It really connects to a lot of different things, sessions, license keys, instance managers, but we specifically want to do users because I really just, every other time from now on, when we do this, we cannot lose our password. It won't be possible.
That's good.
Because we'll create a user that has no password. Okay, we'll create a new user.
And you bypass the password?
Because we are going to, well, we have to start out as an administrator. We have to know our password to be able to not remember our password any longer. So, by creating a user group on our server, this is actually a central management console on the server that our computer is. We'll use an account name, this whole entire class, our account name. Well, it can't be too easy. You can't let somebody not remember a password, remember nothing. User must change and password never expires. Now, we won't even input this, or I could. So now when we hit create and close, we will now have a brand new exception report because we screwed something up. Normally, this would work perfectly, and you can create users, you can create user groups, and you can restrict access. You can create a user that is able to run the queries but is not able to do another one. You can create a user that isn't even allowed access to every universe. You can create sales managers, you can create inventory managers, and never the twain shall meet.
Should you have checked it never expires?
That didn't have a problem before. I haven't had a problem with it before. It was a similar functionality. However, let me try it again. Let's see if we can replicate our bug. Maybe it was even just too long, so we'll call it T. Alright, now we have a user named T with no password whatsoever.
So you left that user must change password on next logon. You have to click on.
T will have to, but it won't be a problem. Probably, but we'll try it out anyway.
Will it let you change it to nothing?
Should. Maybe not though. So now, we are actually, oh yeah, it's totally not going to let me. Alright. T is getting its properties changed. What? What the heck is that password?
It's nothing, it's just masking it.
Alright.
It won't show you that it's actually nothing.
Oh, Jesus. I swear. Alright, anyway, we're going to try another one.
A lot of things do that. Even if you put in no password, it'll show a certain number of characters so that no one looking at it knows it has no password.
Alright. This one's account name is going to be S. And it will not.
It must be 6 characters.
That's fine.
If you're changing it.
Yeah.
Oh.
It created apparently without.
Alright.
It's very good security.
So from now on, our username S will be able to browse any documents. They may or may not, depending on if they have administrative privileges, they might not be able to see the ones that the administrator already made, but any ones from here on out, username S with no password will have access to.
You save that in the server? Because that's only in my computer.
Your computer is your server.
No, I know, but other people can have that security?
If they know the IP address to your computer, if your computer is connected to the internet, if there's no firewall blocking their access to it, yes.
Okay, because you're telling them that they can log on with
If your computer is connected to the internet with no IP, with no firewall, and is running the software, and they know the exact IP address and the port, then yes, that's what your computer is. Your computer is your own server.
Basically, no, because I'm not giving you guys my
Right.
address.
Look her up. It's got
See, now I know why you don't have to be on the internet for these purposes, that you're going to have to be on the internet
For that,
later.
it's supposed to be
Yeah,
server.
because then it's going to be server based, so that way
Right.
the T user or S user will be able to get logged on.
Do you mean if somebody was going to log on remotely?
Yeah, with InfoView.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the
The
internet.
purpose of this is to have an admin for the end users.
Yes, that's what I mean to say.
To give
Yes,
authorization to
and
end
generally it
users.
would be. In our specific case, we are not connecting our servers up to the internet. We are not serving
That's
the
what you said,
universes. If we did, if we were implementing it as a business, then yes, absolutely. Does anybody have any questions about how I was doing anything or about anything that I was doing?
No, but you can have your phone number with you in case we do have questions. Remind you, right?
Yes.
For a
I'll
cost.
sell his phone number for a cost. Nominal fee.